Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Morgellons Call of the Week. It is Sunday, April 18th, 2021, and even though it's chilly here in Western Mass, it's a sunny day, so I'm thankful for that. I'm Robin, and I'm glad to be here with you guys. So I had struggled for almost 4 years. Mites, fleas, bed bugs, they all brought Morgellons into my home as well as themselves. And so I had multiple infestations, and I was ready to burn my house down. I threw out 90% of my furniture. Everything I owned was in Ziploc bags, which is still partly true. And then, you know, an answer to prayer with my pastors, a prayer for creative solutions and for hope. And the next day I found Richard's book. And then I found this call and started to get my life back. And I'm here to give back because I got reinfested unpacking a Pandora's box of Christmas ornaments. And then I got sick with COVID. So it's been about a year because I couldn't do a lot. I was in bed for over 3 months. But I'm on the tail end of that journey. I can say that I'm like 98% clear now. My home is better. My stuff is better. I'm working really hard to get a rug clean, which I don't know if it's possible, but I'll keep you guys posted. And so I'm grateful to be here. I'm so grateful for Richard, his protocols, especially the diet, which is the foundation of everything. If you haven't gotten his book, get it, read it, and do the diet. But I'd like to introduce Richard Kuhns. He's here every week with us. He's available for email questions. He's here to answer questions on this call. And he's on the 11th edition of his book. So welcome, Richard Kuhns.
Thank you, Robin. It's a pleasure to be here, everyone. This is the Morgellons event of the week. I hope each and every one of you keep coming back. There are new people on the call, and there are those that keep coming back. And I'm here simply because I suffered and found no answers with the medical community. Well, let me take that back. I did find one dermatologist who knew something about specific medications and mites, and that was an integral part of our program, which is in Chapter 6 of the book. But I didn't think I'd make it. I was depressed. I thought that I had come up against the wall that I would never get through or around or over. It was just miserable. And then I took an offhanded advice from a friend, a new acquaintance, about maybe something to do with what I'm eating. You know, and I thought, well, that was kind of crazy, but I tried everything else, going through medications and many doctors and sulfa drugs and cortisone shots and all kinds of stuff, and everything seemed to work for a few days, and then all hell came back, and it was depressing. And I had a young son, about 4 years of age at that time, and we were roughhousing.
It's 516.
And suddenly we weren't roughhousing anymore. It was like arm's length. And I was wondering, hey, what's this going to do to my son? You know, he's 1 minute we're roughhousing and playing and close, and suddenly it's like Daddy doesn't touch you, you know, because I was contagious and infectious I was, and I didn't want to take the chance of him being infected by it. It was quite depressing. And last week our subject was about depression, and specifically in memory of Diane Shannon from South Africa, who was our technical writer for quite some time, and she contributed a lot. Unfortunately, when we tried to send supplies to her in South Africa, the customs held the package for 3 months. Would you believe it? 3 months they held that package. And then they returned it to us. And unfortunately, the depression was overwhelming for her, and she took her life. And so sad. So I hope you've each had an opportunity to either be on the call last week, because depression happens to be a part of, Robin said it, I don't know if she said it this time, but she often says it. It's to take these emotions, like depression, anger, frustration, upset, confusion, uncertainty, and convert them to a call to action. That's what we're here for. We're here to support you in getting through these emotions and not let this thing called depression bury you. Look at depression, if you could, imagine it as an entity that's out there. Okay, it's an energy field that is out there, and it's got a hold of you. It's manipulating you. And you can break free of it if you look at it as an entity outside of you. You don't have to manifest it. You don't have to let it run your life. And I was wondering what our subject would be for this week as a follow-up, and I was speaking with Robin last night, and she said, well, people have been talking to her about the session, and it would probably be a good follow-up. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to follow up on what we spoke about last week. It was recorded on YouTube. We just got it up like Friday. So hopefully you listened to it or watched it. And there's the free CD about depression that is up there for you on YouTube as well. Take advantage of these things. And my approach is probably, I don't know, off the wall when it comes to, if you went to a psychologist or even a psychiatrist and talked to about depression and told them what I was telling you, they'd probably say, hey, that's some nut job over there. What degree does he have? He's a chemical engineer. How can he know anything about that? So, well, ask him about Morgellons. See what they know about Morgellons. So us engineers do come through. But the bottom line is that depression is nothing more than energy. It's an energy. Anger is an energy. I mean, probably if we had the ability to look at your body or look at the essence of you when you are in an emotional state, we would see color changes. So if we saw you while you're depressed, we would see a color there. I don't know what it would be, probably blue. I don't know. And if we saw you when you were angry, we'd probably see what? Red? Okay? And then there are other colors. So it's energy. That's it. It's energy. Nothing more than energy. And based on your perceptions of what you like to have happen in your life and where you're going, these are, why do we get depressed? Why do we get angry? Because things don't work out the way we want them to, the way we have programmed ourselves to want. They don't fall in line with our goals. Our goals have fallen apart. Life is more about, God bless Tony Robbins. He built his world on goals and setting goals and goals. But for me, and many of the people I've worked with, life is more often about the goals that fall through, the plans that fall through. And those are like holes in our boat, and we don't know how to fix them. We're going to sink. And some holes are pretty damn big, like when we have up against this wall of Morgellons and skin parasites and Lyme disease. It's like this big wall that's this wide, full of concrete with steel barriers we can't get through. Or if you're in the boat, it's like the Titanic hitting the iceberg. That's what it's like. And so the disappointment can manifest itself in these emotions, these energy levels, and study after study says that when we are depressed, what happens to our immune functioning? Down the tube. Down the tube. Interestingly enough, I don't know, 20 years ago, there was a study that said that if you have 1 teaspoon of sugar, your immune system, down the tube. Alcohol, down the tube. Depression, down the tube. So, and when we get depressed, most often we turn to things like sweets, down the tube. Alcohol, down the tube. So we add insult to injury. So, okay, so depression is an energy level. Your color is blue or some shade of blue when you're in the state. Now, there's nothing wrong with any energy level. There are many energy levels. People call them good and bad, right and wrong. Well, go back and read Dr. Dwayne Dyer's first book, Erroneous Zones. That's the late Dr. Dyer. There's no right and wrong, there's no good and bad, they're just different energy levels. So we don't want to assess good, bad, right, or wrong. We don't want to say, I'm in a bad state, I'm in a wrong state, I'm just in this energy. Now, we have learned perceptions. Learned perceptions since the time we have been able to speak or observe. These perceptions have been memorized, stored in the unconscious brain. They mount up after years and years and years, and we call them beliefs. We may have observed other people being depressed and said, we don't want to be like that. No, I don't want to be like Aunt Martha. Oh, she's no fun to be around. She's a drag. I don't want to be like that at all. Or we saw people who were depressed. We couldn't understand why. Hey, they had a home, they had their bills paid for, they had food, they had a beautiful car, they had a great job, a great career. Why are they depressed? So we amass an amount of beliefs based on what we see and hear associated with this word depression. Dr. Isaac Rubin, a psychiatrist, wrote The Angry Book. It's a phenomenal book. I mean, I wish it were part of every school child's, should be in 6th grade, maybe 4th grade, should be required reading. And we could adjust that to the depression book. His book is basically about anger. Well worth reading. Because what happens is that these beliefs that we have about these emotions become what keeps us from allowing ourselves to feel them. To feel, F-E-E-L, feel them. Let us, okay. So he calls them feelers. So we have feelers about these emotions. And I just alluded to some of them. Why are you depressed? You got, I shouldn't be depressed because I got 2 legs, 2 arms, all 10 fingers. I got a good job. I got a good car. I shouldn't be depressed. So beliefs like this, or I'll be a rotten apple in a barrel. Nobody will want to be around me. I hope during the week, if you watched the video last week or listened or went through the CD, and you are in the midst of depression or feeling it, that you have written down your sins. Now, by the way, I'm not here to treat or cure or mitigate depression. It is what you are to go to your psychologist for, to get proper treatment. I'm here to educate you how to effectively look at it. And if there's nothing wrong with getting medication as a crutch. I have, approximately 18 years of private practice and working with people with all kinds of issues, whether it be agoraphobia, phobias, depression, so forth. And I often work with a psychiatrist at the local hospital. The psychiatrist would prescribe the meds, and we talked it over, and he prescribed the medications, and I do the cognitive stuff, the thinking stuff, how to rearrange your thinking so that this energy level doesn't ruin your life, so that instead of saying, I am depressed, which you're identifying with, I am this energy. Are you this energy? No. Or, I have this energy. It's like the coat you wear. Are you your coat, or do you have a coat? See, if you are your coat, you can't take it off. If you have a coat, you can take it off, throw it away, put it in storage, do whatever you want. So it's important to notice there's a distinct difference between being and having. Having is what you want. You can get rid of what you have. Robin can throw out her rug if she wants to. She's not her rug. She's not attached to it. So it's like this with these feelings. So by all means, if you have a psychologist or psychiatrist, use the medication as a crutch until you get the thinking right, to get the thinking straight. Otherwise, you'll be on the medication for the rest of your life. So we want to get the thinking straight. The first thing is to recognize the beliefs that you have about depression that says you should not feel it. It's not nice. You don't want it. You're not good if you're no good if you have it. All right? So you recognize those beliefs. Then how do you feel it? You know, people say, well, how do you feel it? Well, okay, I'm depressed. Now, the next thing, that's the acknowledgement. It's as simple as that. When you allow yourself to experience something, it disappears. It goes away. But if you resist it, what you resist persists. The more you resist being depressed, the more depressed you will be. It's a law of psychology. It's the basic law. Whatever you resist will persist. So the last thing you want to do is resist it. It's only an energy level. It's having fun with you. All right? All right, go have fun with somebody else, okay? So how are we going to do that? So first you allow yourself to experience, I am depressed. Now, we talked about the beliefs you have. This is your brain. This is your thinking, your noggin up here. This is your computer, your beautiful trillion-dollar computer sitting right up here between your ears. And it's got a lot of garbage in it. You have allowed a lot of garbage in it in terms of beliefs and thoughts and so forth. So instead of making your computer wrong, you never want to do that. You never want to invalidate yourself. I mean, how do you feel when you're talking to somebody and somebody says, you don't know what you're talking about? How do you feel, Robin?
It's very annoying.
You don't know what you're talking about. It's like going to the doctor. You don't have this. You don't have parasites. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't want to do that to yourself. The last thing you want to do is invalidate yourself. So this beautiful brain has been investing a lot of time collecting a lot of information and come up with a lot of beliefs, and these beliefs oftentimes save your life. So last thing you want to do is invalidate it. But you might want to thank it. When you thank your brain, it can release its hold upon you. You see, the ego likes to be right. We need to be right, oftentimes at our own expense. People die just to be right. That's how powerful the ego is. We love to be right. So it's your ego saying, hey, don't tell me that, thank you, my beautiful intelligence, thank you, my beautiful brain, thank you. That's what you want to do. So when you feel depressed, I feel depressed, and I acknowledge I dislike it. Nobody likes it. I mean, would anybody want to stand up and say, yeah, I love being depressed? No, nobody likes it. I dislike it, and you, my creative brain, now you program. Your brain is a computer. You tell it what to do. You program it. Thank you, my intelligence. You have this idea. I should not be depressed because I'd be a rotten the rotten apple in the barrel. Nobody want to be around me. I mean, there are people worse off than me. Why should I be depressed? Whatever the reason is. Thanks for your opinion. I prefer to feel. I prefer. The word prefer. Stay away from must. M-U-S-T. Musty. M-U-S-T. Stay away from got to. G-O-T-T-A-2-O. Got to. Gotta do. Stay away from those things that I must, I have to, or got to. I prefer. I'd like to. I desire. That's what you want. Thank you, my intelligence. I prefer to feel the emotion. It's no fun. And you, my creative brain. Now, what would you like to happen? Would you like to see the situation from a different point of view? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be phenomenal to see it all from a different point of view? You know, there's this woman, her teenage son was into he was a superb athlete. He had a whole life ahead of him. 4.0 in school, A's. He got T-boned by some derelict teenager and killed. She was beside herself. She went to every court appearance to make sure this kid got what was coming to him, and that was life imprisonment. Year after year, she wanted to make sure. She saw it from this point of view. This kid was bad. This kid was a derelict. Bad. The scum of the earth. Killed her son. The derelict didn't have parenting. Didn't have love. She adopted him. Different point of view. See how powerful that can be? Many people take tragedy and go on the speaking tournament so that others learn from their tragedies and don't end up having the same things happen to them. So that's one option. I'd like to see it from a different point of view. What else I'd like to learn from it. Can we learn from it? What can we learn? I'd like to somehow benefit from it, prosper from it. See, now you're programming your brain. You're telling it where you want it to go, and it can go there. It will be open to opportunities. The creativity will come through. If you're stuck in depression at energy level, where's creativity? Where's creativity, Robin?
Not there.
Not
no,
there.
I wanted to
on vacation.
You know, Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times on his way to inventing the light bulb. But he didn't look at it like failures. I mean, we can, you know, there's different kinds of depression, and a lot of depression is caused by circumstances, especially when you're dealing with Morgellons and skin parasites. And you try things and they don't work and you get depressed and discouraged. But, you know, it's a learning process. It's like, I think, I mean, I don't know, I never got to talk to Thomas Edison. But I think he thought of it as a learning process. It's like, oh, this didn't work, but maybe this will. And he never gave up. I mean, I just think...
because he knew there was an answer.
Right. Somewhere.
He believed there was an answer.
Yeah.
It wasn't... Yeah.
Yeah. And I also, when you were talking, I was thinking, remember in the Peanuts comic strip, remember Pigpen?
Yes.
He walked around with a black cloud over his head all the time. And, you know, we can walk out of that cloud.
Right, that's that energy level.
Exactly.
That's that cloud, that energy level, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not easy, and it doesn't happen instantly, but then, you know, that it does happen. It does.
Absolutely. So it's important. I prefer to make this diet work.
That's right.
Because it's like Thomas Edison. I didn't know the diet would work, really. But after I listened to his friend and said, what the heck what do I have to lose? And I ate nothing but eggs. Hey, there's something going on here. So I made the diet work, and it took 10 years. And we're still figuring out little nuances. Like we just figured out not too long ago that ginger root, no good. Ginger powder, very good. For little nuances, amazing little nuances.
For stage one.
Stage one, right.
Ginger root in stage 2 is okay. I tried it.
Yeah, ginger, right. Stage 1, ginger root, no good. Ginger powder, very good. So make the diet work. I prefer to make this diet work. I've heard enough people talk about it. I've heard enough people make the diet work. I'm going to make it work for me. And as we've often said, it's very, people have sworn they were cured by it. There's no cure, okay? But it can be that effective and that powerful. So,
Richard, this is Hilda. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to share an experience that I just had yesterday. I've been feeling heart problems recently, difficulty breathing, what have you. So I was taken to the hospital. I was thrown out like an animal and told, listen, lady.
Can everyone who's not, well, hold on a second, can everyone who's not speaking unmute, mute, hit *6 and wait for you.
Please, everybody on the call, press, there's a star key on your phone, *6. Press the star key and then the 6 key. Everybody, please, and when you want to talk, do that again, *6, and we'll be glad to hear you.
But right now we have one person
Can
talking.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say the extent of these doctors treating you like you're crazy and because you're depressed. I was thrown out of the hospital. I went in for chest pain. And they sent out a blood sample.
Please, somebody's talking in the background. Please. We're going to have to cut this whole section out and start over. Please, if you're talking in the background, it's picking it up. *6, and we won't hear you. You can talk all you want.
Yeah, be respectful for one another and let somebody else talk.
Bottom line is that I was thrown out of the hospital and said, listen, lady, you don't belong here, even though they sent out a blood sample to Virginia to detect Bartonella. due to my symptoms on my skin. They treated me like if I was crazy. They said, listen, lady, what you have is depression and anxiety. Go see a freaking psychiatrist. And that was told to me by the discharged doctor at a local hospital where I live.
Right, and that's usually what you get when you go to the traditional medicine.
Once you're, you know, everyone says that you're depressed, that's what they fall onto. They don't give a hoot whether you have symptoms or you look like a leper and you have all these things coming out of your skin. You are tagged, you are depressed, and you're anxious, and you need to be seen by a psychiatrist because you're making everything up. And this was at a local hospital.
Yeah, that's the medical profession.
Yes, bottom line is, if anybody on this call, the last place you want to go because you feel symptoms of parasites, itching and biting, the last place you want to go is to the emergency room.
I know, because I just went too. This is how you get out. I went the week before last. I moved into a new townhouse, and I was trying to put my curtains up. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And I have a hole in my breast. So it's just disgusting. And, you know, I'm telling them, you know, I'm showing them the bites on my legs, like on my hands, on my arms. They have no clue. They're like, follow up with your doctor. They don't, you know, it's just basically like they just look at you like you're crazy. And sometimes if you say too much, I've learned not to say too much, because if you say too much, you'll go to the psych ward and you'll be there. If you say you see a parasite coming out of anywhere, you're going to, I did. They sent me, I live in Akron, they sent me to Youngstown for 3 weeks. And they put me on Prozac.
Many people have been committed against their will to the psych ward. That's very true. The key is, okay, you have these things going on, and you're also depressed about it. We want to we want to look at these two things differently. We want to look at the depression separately from what's going on, and deal with the depression so you can be more effective at dealing with the parasites, and get on the program and stick with the program.